Click on. What is going on, fam? Welcome to the Winner Circle. As you're aware, Dr. Sean here. You know how we like to do this. We like to have people that can come on here and help us navigate the issues of life, help us win in multiple different categories. We like to have people that have special expertise, special wisdom, and also they have concern. They care about how we're doing. They care about how we're doing as individuals, how we're doing as a community, how we're doing as a society. We have with us today Natalie Alexander of the Butterfly Institute. She's a relationship coach. And Natalie, let me just say, welcome to the Winner Circle. It's so wonderful to meet you here today.
Thank you, Dr. Sean. I appreciate the invitation. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah. I really want to get out there to your followers and the people that follow me, how we met. We met during a challenging time. It was a time of, you might say, adversity. And so I got a chance to see Natalie Alexander step up and use her relationship management skills, her language skills, her personality skills, do it at a time that was in the middle of the night. It involved traveling from the United States to Africa. All sorts of unforeseen things were going on. And so I have personally already benefited from Natalie's skills. And so I'm very excited to have you here and see what we can learn from you about relationships and relationship management and relationship health.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Sean, you reminded me. That's kind of in the distant future, but the way you described it, I was like, yeah, it really was something. I guess I just went into mode. I just kind of went into the zone and did what needed to be done. But yeah, that's awesome.
What got you into this field? How did you get attracted to it? And what drives you?
I have always been, and it's funny, like even to today, the person that people just come to and just to start talking. Like several times I would hear people say, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I'm just talking. And I don't even know why I'm telling you this. And people just tell me their story. And I am gifted with the ability to help resolve and come and offer solutions that offer helpful solutions. So I turned it into a career and became a licensed professional counselor. And uh, once I got divorced, I realized that if I had had somebody like me in my life, then I might still be married. So it became my passion to educate and bring awareness to people in our community on how to gain relationship longevity. And so that's the short story.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So, that's what attracted me to your approach. I have been following you online. I see that you are very solutions oriented. You're interested in the health of relationships. I mean, we have enough voices out there that are talking about the pain, talking about the problem, talking about the challenges, but I really appreciate how you are helping us get to what healthy relationships look like. And so I want to start off, I just want to understand what is I hear a lot of people saying, well, I don't really need that. I mean, I'm just going to hang out and be solo. I hear that from men and women. And so I guess the question has to be asked, what is the whole point of a romantic relationship from your perspective?
There is benefit in being close to somebody and knowing knowing the positive and being secure in the positive intentions of that person, of your partner. Our glitch, our obstacle as a community seems to be the way in which we've learned to relate to each other. In other words, there's a codependent nature that we have assimilated into our culture, where we have learned to be responsible for other people's emotions to the detriment of our own well-being, and that has caused an erosion in our relationships. And so after a while, it makes sense that people will say, I'd just rather go solo. It's just easier that way, rather than learning how to be authentic, learning how to be independent, and learning how to accept the other person for who they are and just find connection and joy in all of that.
Connection and joy, authenticity, I hear you saying.
Yes.
And, as a physician, I can't ignore that people tend to do well when they're with other people that are looking out for them. As you say, they have the intention of looking out for you specifically.
Yes.
And this does involve some degree of intimacy. I'm thinking, and it probably involves some degree of making ourselves vulnerable. And
Yes. Which is uncomfortable. It can be scary, especially when we've learned as children to not cry. In the African American community in particular, having an attitude can be punished. What is called an attitude can be punished. And so we are discouraged from being authentic and from being transparent. So it's a whole learning curve, if you're following, on how to get to
yes,
the space of healthy relationships, transparency, vulnerability, connection, intimacy. In order to be intimate with somebody, emotionally intimate, we have to be intimate with ourselves, well knowing of ourselves, in order to be able to offer ourselves wholly and honestly and sincerely to another person. It
hmm,
also takes the pressure off of the other person to read minds, or to to be proactive and assuming of the other person's needs or wants. It's a lot.
okay. So now what I hear you describing is um, we have to be able to communicate our needs.
Yes.
We also have to have our ears open for our partner's needs. And this came up the other day actually. It was a guys group, and we were talking about why do we even need um, you know, a partner, I mean, and funny thing is, men tend to definitely live longer and be healthier when we are partnered with somebody who is looking after us. I mean, we sleep better. I mean, everything is better when we are connected like that. And so somehow it's remarkable to know that it's healthier for us to have this kind of connection.
Yes.
And yet we find ourselves like saying, okay, I don't need that. I'm running away. And, I mean, we actually are doing something that is not going to be healthful for us as
Right.
individuals. Yeah.
Right. It's the image that comes to mind, and it's funny. I don't know. I'm sure you're familiar with the TV show Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There was the pianist. It was uh, Kermit the Frog was doing a show or whatever, and it was the pianist. I don't remember his name. He used to sing. He used to try to sing a nursery rhyme. He would say, "Mary had a little lamb. Mary had its fleece was white as," and couldn't remember the next word. And he would just get so frustrated and bang the piano and say, "I'll never get it, never get it, never." And then just, and just walk away from the piano. And to me, that's kind of sounds like what men and women are doing. I'll never get it, never get it, never get it, without reaching out to resources. A Kermit the Frog type person who knows the word that rhymes, who knows the tools that can actually help facilitate the healthier relationship and get you to the space of well-being. We just kind of give up right then and there, just leaning on ourselves and not having the resources or the perspective needed to grow.
Sure. Sure. And I'm wondering, as you describe the scenario about our generations that came before us, who seemed to be um, I'm saying seemed, they appeared to have a lot of this together. I mean, they stayed together longer, and now I don't know if they were happier or not actually. But what do you think has happened with the generations? It seems like we are struggling more with this these days now. And ultimately, I want to hear your, ideas about patching this all up. But what are your thoughts about what has occurred?
Well, generations before us, where the couples have stayed together 60 years, these are generations in which likely the mother stayed home and the father went out to work. Likely there were several children, and children were working in the fields or bringing in finances. A lot of the children may or may not have been formally educated, but the stories I hear, a lot of those children were neglected. And so their emotional needs were not met. They just learned that they just got to shut up and keep working or just tend to whatever mama needed. And daddy's coming home, sit straight. And maybe daddy was an alcoholic. There's a lot of dysfunction. And so then that generation that was neglected, they may have decided, I'm going to parent differently or not be a parent because they don't know how, because dad was out working, mama was cooking or tending to dad and not the children and making more children. And then comes the next generation that, decides that, there's substance abuse, there's domestic abuse, and now people are being held accountable for that. And more research is being done on emotional health and trauma. And there's so much of that. So we are now focused on identifying the reason why there's so much dysfunction. And here I am.
Mm. So I sort of hear you also describing that we have more choices now that are readily available. We have different choices now, and people are saying, you know what, I don't need this or I don't want this, and I have a choice. And maybe perhaps a path forward is for some people who want it is that, I do have choices and I do want this for myself because maybe it's better for me also. Maybe it's better for my partner. Maybe it's better for our children. Maybe it's better for society, community. And so maybe it seems like we have more choices and now it's up to us to choose. What do you think?
It's interesting that you would have that awareness in terms of having more choices, because there's a lot of people that still are not aware of the choices and resources that they have because of how they were reared in terms of respecting their elders or respecting where they are, and the common notion that people outside of the home should not know or be aware of what's happening inside of the home. It can be lopsided. I know that several people blame not femininity, the feminist movement, which has value to it, but I think has been used in an imbalance. And so feeling like and being aware that we don't have to stay in this space and wanting to grow, that's great. And the other point that I wanted to make is that oftentimes what you're saying, Dr. Sean, is still born from a place of pain. I don't want this. I don't want this pain. And desperately seeking for something else that will alleviate the pain, which does not equal healthy living.
No kidding. No, it doesn't. Absolutely. I appreciate that comment. I have been spending a lot of time in this particular area because we have this idea about uh, stress and the discomfort associated with stress, and we start running from it, especially when it's emotional stress. And yet, when we want to improve our lives, invariably it involves adding more activities, it involves adding a physical exercise, i.e., stress. It involves learning things. I mean, technology has made us have to learn things in order to stay viable and thrive in today's life. So I like what you're saying. We might be running away from pain, but I'm not sure if that's good for us or not.
No, as a therapist, I often encourage my clients to sit in their pain and feel it. And the benefit is, in the therapy context in the room, I will sit with them in their pain and I will put words to it. I will empathize and comfort and encourage compassion. And then we, on the other side of it, it's like, it wasn't that bad. There was no judgment, there's no condemnation. Pain is okay to feel. And I'm actually learning more and more that there are a lot more people in pain than we realize. we just don't know how to manage it, how to put words to it and move past it. And so hence a lot of times can cause stress, physiological stress and psychological stress when we are not expressing our pain in some way, shape, or form.
No kidding. No kidding. You know, you reminded me of something that comes up in healthcare a lot.
Okay.
Uh, Healthcare. And I remember studying medicine, and we quickly jumped off into pathology, you know, and pharmacology.
Hmm.
And we learned and we practiced so much about pathology. I think that sometimes we don't think about, well, what does it look like when we are healthy? You know,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, our healthy examples, perhaps we don't, you know, I'm not sure if we recognize them. Maybe we don't use them as resources. Um, do you come across people that are in front of us that are giving some healthy examples as far as we can see for how they're managing relationships and being happy and getting stronger with time and circumstance?
That's a great question. So you're asking, do I come across people that present healthy? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, and I have to admit that you know recently we have had thrust in front of us some unhealthy um what sloppy experiments of you know, so we've been seeing that and giving a lot of attention to that, you know, what it looks like when there's a lot of pain and what it looks like when there's perhaps some dysfunction and imbalance. But are you aware of many examples or any examples that we can look at, all of us, you know, maybe some, you know, maybe they're popular that we can all look at and say, hey, wow, these people, they really look healthy. I was thinking about that just right now, that quarterback and Ciara, they put themselves out there and they seem happy, but anybody come to mind, you know, that we can sort of see as models, you know, because we have the other side.
Yes, we have the other side. So, Prince Harry and Princess Meghan Markle come to mind in their ability to, yes, publicly be affectionate with one another, but then be honest and transparent and still demonstrate boundaries and protective boundaries on their relationship and for each other. And yeah, I would say that that's a pretty clear example of healthier. I mean, everybody has issues and problems and traumas and things. So the fact that we were allowed into their excuse me, we were allowed into the darkest parts of their lives and still uh, w- walk with them through parts of the trouble and into the lighter parts of their lives. And yeah.
I think that's a wonderful example, and I appreciate the words that you're using to describe the anatomy of the healthy specimen. You know, we are, of course, reaching, you know, a little bit because we don't really know them. We're not in their relationship, but we do see challenges that have come their way. We've seen them make choices, respecting their unit, you know, their boundaries.
Yes.
And we see some mutuality going on there, you know, some reciprocity, it appears, you know, as they grow as a family. And so I love that. I think that matters a lot for a unit. Perhaps these ideas are what we can strive for.
Yes. 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 Yeah, and you know, as a clinician, I can also kind of pick out some things as I watched that couple on a special, the Oprah special. I think it was last year. I thought, some things is like, oh, okay, well, uh, made a note, but like I said, everybody has their own trauma, their own thing they're coming from. So what I'm thinking of specifically is one of the reasons why Prince Harry moved and left the royal family was because he did not want the same thing to happen to his wife that happened to his mother. So his reference point was a reference point of pain. And sometimes that can be dangerous when we make decisions for our marriages and our relationships based on a painful experience in our childhood. But They're
Very
doing it.
good point.
Yeah, they're doing it, and I pray the
Very
best
good.
for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good point. Very good point. Yes, yes. Yes, and so one of the things that I saw you post recently
Mhm.
was, and you didn't really post on it, but you were reacting to it
Mhm.
because this is what you do,
Yes.
and it's your field, and this list that came out and talk about boundaries, and it's on the news. So I saw it on the local news here, and then I turned the TV off, and then somehow I ended up on Instagram, and then you you popped up talking about the list, and then Olaremi, my sister, talked about it. It seemed like it was everywhere.
Yes.
Um, what are your thoughts on how we get started, a first dates, and even after that? What were your ideas about this list?
About the list. I commend the person who brought awareness to things that, okay, preferable places not to bring a woman on a list. Wonderful. That's great. Thank you for putting words to it. However, it's not even reasonable. Like I'm tempted to believe it's a joke. It's got to be a joke, because it's not reasonable. There's no options. Okay, so you don't want to go to church on your first date. You don't want to go to Cheesecake Factory on your first date. You don't want to go to Olive Garden on your first date. What are the options? And then where do you want to go? But greater than that is that the men in our community have spent decades appeasing the desires of women and what women felt men should or should not do, to the detriment of relationships. We have to stop somewhere. Like, that's enough. And if that person is, whoever posted it, is serious about that list, I'd highly recommend that they create a list of other places that a woman should be taken on a date to be considered, definitely not to be conceded to or appeased. It's just a list. It doesn't mean that it's conclusive or exhaustive or anything that should be followed by any means. Because when two people meet, yes, it's a date. It's a means to collect data, to get to know the individual. Creating a space that is conducive to that is important. Something like the movies, I agree, not conducive to collecting data. But other than that, a restaurant where people are eating face to face, it's an intimate exchange. Why wouldn't you go to any restaurant and sit there and even have drinks? You get a chance to watch how the individual interacts in that environment. Bowling, absolutely. You get to see how competitive or not competitive, or how strong or how friendly the person is, how the person is able to have fun. Olive Garden, why not? It's budget friendly. You get to see how the person spends money or not spends money. Cheesecake Factory, why not? You get to see how an individual can make a choice amidst all the choices and options that the Cheesecake Factory has. So, you know, it doesn't make sense. It's fun to talk about, but it's not logical. It's not reasonable, the list.
And I hear you. When I saw it, of course, it made me think about, let's see, where did we go for our first date? My wife and I, and I can't remember the name of the place, but it was a small place, didn't have really a name. But at the time, we had maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and we were, I mean, it was like, let's take a moment, and I don't mean like, 45 minutes. I mean a moment, whatever
Right,
that is. A
right,
moment can be 30 seconds, 7 seconds,
right.
to exchange information like that. And then we had so many, we ate Subway too many times, actually. And we used to order one Subway and share a bag of chips.
Tips. Wow. See? Intimate
Yeah,
sharing. Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
Break the subway like this,
Breaking bread, breaking bread. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and um we were talking about the list, and I said, well, maybe the woman would wants to be taken to a more expensive place because she might know that it's downhill from there. Like maybe, the highest, most expensive place, he spends all that money. And then if they
Right.
make it to serious, it's just downhill from there. It's like, okay, well, now we're good. I know you, you know me. Then when we go to Cheesecake Factory, where something like that. Other than that, I really don't see the logic behind um, forbidding any of those places. Now,
Sure.
now I went on a date to church and to a guy's church. This is when I was in my 20s, and and the preacher saw that I was new and tried to lay hands on, do the whole laying of hands thing. And I was like, no, sir, I'm not having it. I am not having it. I did not fall over, did not. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So needless to say, that date probably didn't go too well, but the guy got to know, where I stood on some things. And that's what dating is about.
Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt. And just like as we first met, you know, um, adversity,
Yes, yes,
situations come up, challenges come up, and man, how long can we wait to find out how this person is going to deal with adversity?
hmm hmm
I don't know if Ruth Chris Steakhouse is the place to learn that, necessarily. But if we're going to grow healthier as a unit, as a couple together over time and over circumstance, more so,
yes, yes,
throughout challenges, throughout, without the glitz, without the people, without, it seems like it's more interesting, I would say, to learn it in a place like that's doesn't have all that,
yes,
uh, you know. So,
yes. Yes. It's as though the women in our community these days are more concerned with meeting a need, and creating a narrative that can be easier palated, like I'm the prize, or I deserve, or I'm worth this, or I want a man that's this, this, and this. It sounds more like just meeting a need, an unmet need, than really having the desire and intention of getting to know this guy that I'm attracted to, that made me laugh, during the first conversation, that seems to be so intelligent and is handsome, and okay, seems like he's got a future in front of him and is supporting mine and giving me an opportunity to support his vision in life. Like, yeah, because I'm meeting my own needs, because I don't need a man. I want him.
hmm,
There's a difference. And
hmm, hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point. I have to say that hearing it from a guy's perspective, it gives this, I mean, it's an immediate kind of turn off, I have to say.
hmm
But also it is okay, so the next time somebody else comes around, they can take you to a different restaurant,
hmm
I'm not gonna have a space, I mean, this is where we are, really. So it does kind of give that, I don't know if people that say that mean to give off that. It's just a huge big sign that says, no, I'm not with that.
wow, wow,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
But
that's good. That's good to be made aware of that. Like, it's a turn off.
let's turn off. Yeah. Yeah. And but hopefully we can put some real emphasis on what binds us, over time and over experience. I haven't really um, heard people say that over time, we should be getting stronger. I mean, okay, kids, a new job, being jobless, um, not being able to go on vacation, being able to go on vacation, being able to go to different places, different languages, different cultures. They say you want to see how strong your team is, just throw in a change, throw in a challenge, throw in some adversity.
Yes.
If we want to grow stronger, I'm thinking that we do it in our relationships one-on-one first.
Yes. Yes. It's the ability to also resolve conflict, the ability to talk things through and communicate. Once again, another thing that, generally speaking, we haven't been taught. We've been taught to survive in the African American community. Survive, keep your mouth shut, and just sometimes it's been said, put your head down in color, stop ruffling, stop ruffling the feathers, just do what you need to do, wake up, do it again, and not really talk things through. I've had couples that, have said, well, she said she didn't want to ... And this was just that. And I'm like, no, talk it through. Offer another suggestion. If you don't want to do that, then how about this? Let's brainstorm. When I ask couples, like, how do you feel about such and such? They'll be like, I don't know. And I'm saying, okay, well, let's take some time and think about it. Just take a couple seconds. I'm here. And then, well, inspiration starts coming. And so that's another life skill, another learning resource that we as couples can start to practice so that we can get stronger. When you talk about a team throwing an obstacle in, they've got contingencies in place. If that particular receiver, if we're talking football, gets tackled, then we throw another receiver in. We have plans. We've got a plan B. Then let's follow through. Let's get our ball to the goal. And too many times, because a lot of us are in survival mode, we just kind of, it's just never going to work. Like that piano player on Sesame Street. I wish I could remember his name. I'm never going to get it, never going to get it. And he bangs his head on the piano so dramatically. It's done. No. And I can go on and on. There are families in which divorce is the solution. No, come talk it out. Let's work it out. Let's flush it out. Emotions at all. And let's get stronger. There's nothing better than solving a problem with your partner. It really feels good. And all the things that come after it, the victory behind it. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Problem solving together and resolving conflicts. I mean, that's what life is all about. And this is what makes us healthier. I love it. Most of your clients, are they mostly women? Are they mostly men? Are they couples that come and look for healthy solutions and options?
These days, it's mostly couples. And I think it's when we're talking individuals, it's about 50-50 men and women, adults. Yes. So, and I'm really happy when I see African American men come into the office. And they come in, and so it's good.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Now, can you share where our listeners can find you that need services like that need this kind of direction?
At the Butterfly Institute 23.com, the Butterfly Institute 23.com, the Healing Grace Counseling at gmail.com, the Butterfly Institute at gmail.com also. Yes, those two places. And if you're in the Atlanta and Alabama, states of Atlanta or Alabama, where I'm licensed, you can call at 678-208-3425.
Nice. Do you do some virtual work also with clients?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And I know you're on Instagram. What's your handle there?
At Natalie Alexander LPC.
Okay, fabulous. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for being you. Thank you so much for adding a direction at a time of adversity and a crisis in the middle of the night. And if you can do it then with a bunch of people, I'm sure that you are doing it all the time with the couples that see you. Thank you for joining me on the Winner's Circle today.
You're so welcome, Dr. Sean. Thank you for everything that you do in the Winner's Circle and having the men's group. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care, Natalie.
Okay, bye-bye.